everyone's job
Time
gets.
out. Breaking news.
There we go.
Shams
That's the qualifying offer.
signing the 1-year, $8.7 million qualifying offer to return to the Philadelphia 76ers. He will now hold and inherit no trade clause and enter a more flush market, as Shams says, in unrestricted
thank you
free
to Quentin
agency
Grimes for doing the thing I
summer.
already pre-wrote a story on so I can publish it immediately.
Yes. Good timing by you, man. Yeah.
Listen.
Hey.
Here's what I will say. The short version of the article is exactly what we did on the show yesterday, right? I think it's a shame that when one camp has 25 million and the other has 10, the obvious thing is just to say, why don't we talk about 15? I think it makes sense or would have made sense for all sides. And instead you end up in, I don't think it's the worst case scenario, but I think it's a bad scenario if you're laying out all the options going into the offseason.
I think it's the worst case.
Do you?
Scenario. What would be worse?
Paying him $25 million for 4 years.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't going to happen, I don't think.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That's the worst case scenario.
Of the realistic ones, I think this is worst case scenario.
It's not good.
It's absolutely bad.
All right. The wait is over, everybody. Back on the qualifying offer with the Sixers, and here we are.
You two got to talk because I got to publish this.
Yeah, here we are. So, look, everybody, we want to let you all know that, first of all, we're going to overtime. We thank everybody on the television side. If you want to continue with the conversation here, head to allphly.com. Quentin Grimes agrees to the qualifying offer with the Sixers, $8.7 million. We're going to keep that going at allphly.com right now on that side. So TV, if you want to stay with us to share your thoughts of what just went down with Quentin Grimes staying with the Sixers on a 1-year, $8.7 million deal, not getting a balloon payment, not getting a deal like Jonathan Kuminga, which we just talked about, or any long-term extension. We are talking about it at allphly.com. We'll be back tomorrow after the game at 3 p.m. to discuss preseason game number 1 for the Sixers and anything we have updated on Quentin Grimes.
So, Derek, can you walk people through all the machinations in terms of how it hurts his trade value and kind of the market that unfolds from here with regards to Quentin Grimes?
So, I mean, the no trade clause that comes with any 1-year deal. You get an automatic no trade clause. You can then negotiate that out of the contract. So you can ask them to basically waive the contract at the time of signing it. That's what was it? Cam Thomas, they were trying to do with Cam Thomas, where they would give him an extra $2 or $3 million. But that condition to that is you have to waive that no trade clause. So waiving the no trade clause, or not having that no trade clause waived up front is a big deal. But even if you were to waive that later on in the season, because his salary is so low at $8.7 million, again, anytime you have a veteran on a 1-year contract who then waives that no trade clause and is traded, they lose bird rights. So then a team that wants to bring him back would only have non-bird rights, which you can only offer a starting salary of 20% higher than his current one. So he'd have a starting salary next year of like maybe $10.5 million for a max. That is not what he is looking for. So no team is going to try to trade for him as anything more than a rental. And that severely, severely, severely kills your trade value. And again, the Sixers right now in terms of matching salary, unless you want to get into like the Jared McCain of it all, and I don't think anybody listening to this really wants Jared McCain traded, you really only have now Andre Drummond and Kelly Oubre, about $12 million in total salary that you can use to match in a trade. Again, because of all of the CBA rules, which we won't get into now, you have to be able to match salary. And oftentimes, if you're over an apron, have to be able to send out more salary than you take back. Having these mid-sized contracts really gives you flexibility and, to steal a Hinkie phrase, optionality. So now they're sitting here with,
I'm sick of optionality, man.
I'm playing to our audience.
That's one of those. Put that in the ramp jar as optionality.
For a team that has some pretty good future first-round picks at their disposal, they have very little to actually execute a trade with. So you lose not only, Quentin becoming an unrestricted free agent next summer, and probably, quite frankly, unless you overpay him, he's not going to want to come back. You also really lose the ability to trade him this year. So all you get is a player for a season that we don't really know how it's going to shake out. And again, I think being able to trade Quentin at a positive trade value was almost more important in a world where Joel Embiid isn't on the court frequently, because you need a way to recoup assets to try to build your core around Maxey and McCain and Edgecombe. And this could have been a huge one. I think this is an absolute, outside of like a $25 million deal, I think this is pretty close to a disaster. And as I said yesterday, it's one thing to look at it and be like, okay, why not a balloon payment? Why not a $14 million 1-year payment? There's only one downside to that. There's only one.
Josh Harris loses
Harris's
helicopter
pocketbook.
fuel money.
So no matter what they say here, the fact that they were unwilling to do that, and quite frankly, I think we're speculating here. I think Quentin would agree to waive that no trade clause if you gave him an extra $5 million. If they're unwilling to do that, they're telling you in bright blinking lights, we don't want to pay the luxury tax. So now you're going to be about $7 million over the luxury tax. If the season goes sideways, look for Kelly Oubre to be dumped.
I want to reiterate what I laid out on yesterday's show, where we talked almost exclusively about Quentin Grimes. I think this is a failure for everyone, right? Derek has laid out just now and in general the luxury tax ducking possibilities that this is setting up, the animosity that he has for that whole justification for this. And we've all said the Sixers should have moved off of 4 for 39 is a ridiculous offer, right? It's just, it is not, it was a fine. We start here. You ask for 25, we offer 10 a year. And at some point in the summer, you reach a middle ground. To never, as far as we know, as far as we can tell, move from that position, that's bad. It's inexcusable. And it's just as inexcusable for Quentin Grimes to sit there the whole summer and be like, I want 25. Okay, would you take this? And then just keep saying, I want 25 and not move and not show any sort of flexibility on the long-term stuff, right? And I think for him, this sets up a ton of risk. I've brought up the Nerlens Noel thing in the past, right, where he had $70 million on the table. He didn't end up making even half of that the rest of his career after playing on the qualifying offer. There are success stories, right? Like Ben Gordon is a guy I brought up in the story I wrote for allphly.com, where he played on the qualifying offer and then made, I believe it was like 55 or 60 million, signing with the Detroit Pistons after a big year with the Bulls. So there are success stories. But if you just look at the landscape, I just don't know how you get to anywhere approaching that number with VJ Edgecombe, with Jared McCain, with Tyrese Maxey here, and with the message that the Sixers are sending by making you these offers in the first place, that if you're not enough of a priority to give you a lot of money, why do you think you're going to be a priority to get a lot of minutes, to get a lot of opportunities, to get that money in the future? So I think both sides have pretty wildly misplayed their hands. Quentin in the sense that I don't think that money is out there in the future, but the Sixers in a more important sense, I think, because he's a good player. You need good players on the team. You need guys who, I said yesterday, set the standard that Tyrese Maxey is talking about. When Joel Embiid is hurt or Joel Embiid is just out, Paul George is having a rest day, Paul George is missing 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month with a knee injury, whatever it might be. You need people who are available, talented, and productive. And whatever you think about Quentin Grimes and his, estimation of himself and his worth, he is a good basketball player. He had a full wire-to-wire good season last year and has multiple seasons of productive role player play in different team contexts. I do not understand the line that they drew in the sand unless this guy was just completely unreasonable and saying, I will not take a cent less than whatever, 22, 23, 24, $25 million a year. That's the only scenario where they come out of this looking defensible. And I can't imagine that's it. We'll see when the dust settles.
So from the story, since Shams breaking this news, and we said it's from his agent, David Bauman, to ESPN on Wednesday, as we've talked about, Grimes' side indicated they desired a contract in the $30 million range early on. They then shifted from 20 to 25 million based on the story, which we've talked about in the past. Never came to anything there. Bauman, though, also says in Sham's story that the Sixers' first formal offer was on September 24th, which we pushed back on that one.
The formal offer thing is
four
nonsense.
for 39. Days later, Grimes was offered a one-year deal, according to them in the story, $8.8 million instead of the $8.7 million that gave him $100,000 more than his qualifying offer in order to waive the no trade clause. Those frameworks were declined.
That might be the most infuriating detail in this entire story, because that is a slap in the that is the line where you are almost literally slapping him in the face.
You want him to take the qualifying offer.
Yes.
That you're telling him, take the qualifying offer. We don't care about you.
Also, on Wednesday, Bauman says they offered the Sixers a one-year framework with the balloon payment of $17 million while waiving the no trade clause, and a 2-year deal at $34 million with a player option. Both were rejected, Bauman said, by the Philadelphia 76ers.
So again, 17, to circle back to what Derek said earlier, 17, the only reason that you would not greenlight that, the only thing that impacts is luxury tax, right? That takes you over the first apron, Derek, but you're like 4 or 5 million short of the second apron.
They're currently 21 under the second apron. So
So a $17 million balloon payment, you are 4 million, let's say, just napkin math, under the second apron, which is the real, like, you run into real problems with the second apron.
Yep.
So
get back to the
it looks really bad on the Sixers end.
Yeah. So
it looks
with that,
really bad.
That's why I was saying go back to the $100,000 to push it to
the 100.
8.8.
So again, have to verify
again,
these
it's
things, and this will be a lot of he said,
100%.
Of course, the agent is going to.
As I said, I'm reading from the story, and the agent is speaking through. Shams is speaking through the agent.
That's absurd, though.
But if that is true, that is one of the most ridiculous things I could imagine them doing. Right? To not even be like, we'll give you 10 million, we'll give you 9 million, like $100,000. Like, look, if you came to me today, Devon, like, I could get you another $100,000, I'd be a very happy man. But my base salary, breaking news, is not $8.7 million.
Right.
And I'm also not asking for $25 million or $20 million, whatever it is. That's ridiculous. There is no justification of that.
No,
and I don't really, honestly, there's nothing I even really
that's
can
just
say
like
other than that.
with
There's
the
no way to justify that.
The 4 for 39, when we talked about that and said, no way you offer him that after you just turned down what he turned down in Dallas at 4 for 33 or whatever it might have been, and now 4 for 39 when he played like that, and seeing what he did for the basketball team when you needed him most and what that could project out to be, where he's still 24, 25 years of age, and how he would fit within that backcourt rotation. No way that you offer that. And if that was real, that's a slap in the face too. But now you add this to it with $100,000 adding just to push you to 8.8, man. It sounds much better than the 8.7. And then the 2 for, what did I say? 2 for 34 also thrown at them. While he had 5 30-point games, he had 2 40-point games for them last year. Jared McCain is hurt right now, and what he could provide for you right now. And you get to see what they could do as a 4-man rotation in that backcourt. That is a bit of a
look. Here's the thing:
take this or leave it.
If that was your offer for a balloon payment, you would have been better off just shutting the fuck up, right, and not offering anything, saying we're not doing a balloon payment.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. It's like almost hard to believe that they would do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like the equivalent of like, I'll give you $8.7 million and $1. It's, like, who does that?
It's wild.
According
you
to the
come
on, man.
You would not do that just because you don't want it to be leaked. Like, you know that's going to
look
bad.
You know it looks ridiculous on paper.
Yeah.
And that's where, so it also, set aside how the optics of it. Now you run into the situation you don't really want to run into when the guy's on the qualifying offer. The spite factor and the malcontent factor, right? This is no longer just like, we couldn't come to terms on an agreement. We were far apart, but ultimately, like, hey, we value this. And they're going to say all this, right?
Yeah.
All the spin that will come out is we really value Quentin as a member of the organization and blah, 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 blah. You can't play,
No.
like, that playbook doesn't work.
Action
when
speed,
when
yeah.
they said, hey, let's work out a balloon payment that works out for both sides, you said, $100K, best I can do. You look like the guy on Pawn Stars. Yeah. You're like, someone brings in a family heirloom, and you're like, best I can do is $350. Like, best I can do is $100K. Like, it's just an insane thing to propose.
It is. It is.
I hope it's not true. Again, we're just sitting here live reacting to the one formal report that has come in. I can confirm that
we got
he
one
signed
side.
the qualifying offer, but all the rest of this stuff.
We have one side,
But-
and that's it. That's it.
Come on.
So for the people who just got in here and you're saying,
8.8.
what's going on? $8.7 million qualifying offer Quentin Grimes had on the table all summer. He finally accepted it here at just around 4 o'clock, just before 4 o'clock here, as we've been discussing the Sixers on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Laid out some numbers there in the story, according to his agent, of what was thrown from the Sixers and what they offered. And that's where we are right now. He is in. He's not playing in Abu Dhabi. He's in. He'll be here when they get back from Abu Dhabi after the 2 games.
I'm so incredulous
against the New York
because I'm
Knicks.
like, just imagine being in a negotiation. Let's just take all the names out of it. Take the Sixers, take Quentin Grimes, David Bauman, take all these people out of it. Imagine you're in a negotiation that you're in theory like $15-16 million apart. And 3 months into negotiations, you place a phone call to the other side and you're like, we got another $100K for you. It's like, how the fuck would they ever respect you again?
It's a good thing.
Never.
Never. It's a good thing this happened after an overtime.
Like, what?
Yeah. Number one, because we don't have to do a 11:30 tonight
And we
emergency
can-
pod. But number two is because
Yeah, Derek would have
You
been the
guys can just
sleepy one,
sound
by
off.
the way, in case that wasn't clear.
can just sound off. So that's what it is.
I feel like an idiot because I spent all summer
I'm
like
flabbergasted.
breaking down the fucking second apron. They're not getting anywhere near the second
this
apron.
is-
They're not even going to pay the
come
tax.
on,
Like,
dude.
why did I waste my time? Ugh.
So we'll see how it all plays out. Kyle won, everybody. Kyle won on the media day
Bang.
predictions of who gets closer to the actual decision and the contract being resolved. Kyle wins. Derek and I lose.
Have you ever seen the meme? It's of Wario staring off into the sunset, and it says, "I've won, but at what cost?" That's me right now.
And at what cost did Grimes or the Sixers win or lose in this situation? We'll find out as it all plays out.
Oh my God.